Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and welcome back for another edition of Z Real Estate's discussion on real estate. So, getting a lot of questions because I don't know what it is in the air right now, but it seems like everybody's trying to buy a home, including yours truly. Anyway, considering the fact that there's so many buyers right now, probably because rates are going to be going up at least 2 more times before year end, and for those worried that they may have missed those low rates, a lot of buyers are kind of clamoring now to try and get a piece of it. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about is some typical buyer questions. One of which, what is Mello Roos? What is it exactly? So in a nutshell, Mello Roos is a way to finance something, okay? It's a financing instrument. So Mello Roos is a part of CFD. CFD stands for Communities, Facilities, District. So let's say you live in an area like, I don't know, San Dimas, right? And they decide that they want to put in a brand new opera house. Okay? You guys with me so far? Now let's say this opera house may cost $119 million to build. Okay? So what they're going to do is they're going to take that money, the $119 million, and they're going to try to figure out, all right, once this opera house is built, specifically who, will stand to benefit the most from this opera house being here? Answer, our residents. So, let's make them pay for it. So what the Communities Facilities District is a special tax, a special assessment above and beyond your property tax, which it goes to pay for what it is, for a specific thing. Okay, so in our example, we're using that specific thing to be an opera house. Now, let's say that opera house costs $119 million to build. They will target an area, and every home in that area will be a payor for the opera house for the next, whatever it is, 30 years, 50 years. Now, that's crucial to remember because unlike property taxes, which go forever, CFD or Mello Roos actually does have a finite time. Generally, it's at least 30 years. So it ain't something that goes away quickly, but it does eventually go away. So it was started from inception as an idea or a methodology for cities to finance projects. An opera house being one of them, a new amphitheater, a stadium, movie theaters, something the city will feel will serve as a benefit to the citizens in the city. However, they don't have the money to do it. So what do? They finance it, and they tax all their citizens accordingly through a 30-year assessment on a CFD tax. Meaning, if you look at your property taxes, you will have ordinary property taxes. And then above that, you're going to see a special little note that says CFD tax, this amount. And that will be added to your normal property taxes. And will continue until the CFD is paid off. Now, generally, they run for 30 years. So what that means is, let's say you have a house in that area that has a special CFD tax, and you've been paying on it for 5 years, right? And then you sell the house. You need to tell that new buyer, oh, by the way, you got 25 years of Mello Roos CFD tax left on this particular tax because of X, Y, and Z. So generally, yes, that does need to be disclosed. But interestingly enough, the CFD or the Mello Roos tax lately has come to play for a variety of different reasons. And while what I explained was the impetus for the creation of the Mello Roos, which in a nutshell is lack of financing by municipalities, with the desire to create something of value for their citizens, lately, especially in 2003 and 2004, considering the huge builder boom, it was a way for builders to build without the money to do so. Now that's crucial to remember because generally when a builder wants to build a development, they either get the loans for it or they get the money for it. Well, now we have a third option. What they'll do is they'll do the Mello Roos, exactly what it was that we described in our scenario for the Opera House. In this scenario, it will be for 220 brand new homes in let's say, Hesperia, California. So in those 224 new homes, that home development will have a name. It will have some sort of complex registration with the city. Once that's registered and they figure out exactly how much it's going to cost, they may have a meeting and say, you know what, we can do this one of two ways. We can raise the money, we can borrow the money, or we can finance the project. Let's finance it. So a lot of the builders that didn't exactly have the money, and the reason I mention that is because, yes, it's true. Mello Roos is not exactly liked. Most people don't like it, and it is something you really need to pay attention to, because if you buy a house that has Mello Roos and you didn't know, that will dramatically affect the payment that you thought you had on that house. So pay attention. What I can tell you is generally the ones that screw up the most are realtors. They always make mistakes. They always think they know the best. And generally they forget that little CFD assessment there. But so going back to the builder analogy, with the new homes, what they did is they would take, whatever it costs to build the homes, by the number of homes actually built and sold, and tack on a CFD tax for 30 years or 40 years or 20 years or whatever it is. Generally the average is 30 years, but that would be to pay off the actual project. And that would be attached to the house until it's paid off, or rather until that house has paid off its share. So let's say there's the total project is $200 million. And among the $200 million are 3,000 homes being built. Well, each one of those 3,000 homes will have a CFD tax for 30 years, most likely. And each one will be responsible for 1/3,000th of the fee for the entire project, which is the Mello Roos. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope I did a good job explaining it. But in a nutshell, to recap, generally it was created as a design for municipalities, as a way for municipalities to provide further value to their citizens by giving them something they can use, something they can enjoy. A new library, an opera house, an amphitheater, a movie theater, something they knew their citizens wanted, but they didn't exactly have the money. So it was for the government to finance projects, and lately has been used by private party builders who didn't have the capital and wanted to make a quick buck, and they wanted to build a new housing complex without the funds needed to do it. So that's what Mello Roos has been used for lately, and as a result, that's why, by the way, guys, it has that stigma associated with it, is because of the way that builders have been using it, although I can tell you that's not what it was originally intended to do. Does that answer your questions? Do you guys have any more questions about Mello Roos? If so, you know how to reach me, 909-999-6888, or can always be reached on my cell phone, 909-559-5275, or my email address at www.zrealestates.net. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.